is the coding interview prep journey, the 7 phases. In the beginning stage, you're a noob. You don't know anything. If you've had a coding interview, you got blown out of the water. So the first phase was to understand the interview process. I found the coding interview rubric online. And this is important because it tells you what interviewers actually want to see from you. This is how interviewers rate your performance and make a hire or no hire decision. Some useful books for this were Cracking the Coding Interview and Elements of Programming Interviews. Cracking is pretty outdated, but it has a lot of good information. Phase 2 is just reviewing your data structures. This is a list of all the data structures from easiest to hardest. The best way to understand them is to just implement them from scratch. It sounds like a lot of work, but the pro of doing this is you'll deeply understand the time and space complexity. You'll know exactly why hash maps run in O of 1 and why searching in an array is O of n. I promise you most candidates won't even do this step. Now that you have all the data structures understood, you need to actually practice your algorithmic thinking. These are platforms that I was using from most useful to least useful. They have a bunch of questions that you can try, but the key is to not try solving all the questions on these platforms. It's a complete waste of time. If you need to do 1,000 questions or 2,000 questions to get an offer at a tech company, your study approach is not optimal and it sucks. You only want to focus on these core algorithms. Once again, I've ordered them from easiest to hardest. If you know even half of these, you will be ahead of the competition because again, most people are not disciplined. This leads us into phase number 4, and that's actually understanding the concepts and patterns you need to code out these questions. When you're practicing problems, you just want to attempt them for 30 minutes. You want to create 3 of your own original test cases because in the interview you won't get any. Whether you pass or fail, you want to understand the optimal approach, not memorize it. And you want to track the problems that you're attempting every day in a spreadsheet so you can revisit them later and categorize them by data structure and algorithm. Over time, you'll realize you're just coding the same garbage over and over again. BFS is the same code over and over. You can take all the algorithms and create a coding template. So you code BFS, DFS, all in your language of choice. And you can refer to these templates later whenever you forget them. Phase 5 is actually doing mock interviews. Once again, most people will not even do this. They will do a ton of practice by themselves in their little safe space where nobody can judge them. Meanwhile, there are websites like Pramp and Interviewing.io where you can meet random people and act as the interviewer or the candidate. When you're interviewing somebody else, you want to deeply observe what mistakes are they making and consider whether you make the same mistakes. And that helps you become a better candidate. But you don't want to do a ton of mock interviews every single day. You only want to do this 1 or 2 times a week. Mock interviews aren't that great for learning new data structures and algorithms, but they're great for understanding other people's perception of you and getting over interview anxiety. Lastly, you'll meet a lot of people that are just better than you. You should be networking with those people. Phase 6 is crucial. If you can't do this, you might as well just give up. And that's actually getting feedback and improving from those mock interviews. The feedback they give you is directly correlated to that coding interview rubric interviewers use to make a hire or no hire decision. They will give you feedback on your communication, your problem solving, your coding, and your testing. Most probably, you suck at problem solving and coding. Communication is pretty easy, and you just need to reflect on why you're doing poorly in these areas. Is it because the answer was binary search and you just didn't know what binary search was? Did you struggle to communicate the idea even though it was the correct answer? After 4 weeks, you'll do at least 4 mock interviews. You want to analyze your feedback over time. Are you improving on interview number 4 compared to interview number 1, or do you still suck equally? I think when you hit the 10 to 15 interview mark, you're doing pretty good. Now we have the final phase, number 7, and that's actually interviewing for real jobs. You'll go through an online assessment, a phone screen, and then multiple rounds consecutively in the onsite. In all phases of the interview process, you want to take notes on the questions you're being asked. You have no idea how many times I've talked to people about their interview experience at Company X, and I asked them, what questions did they ask you? What answers did you give? And they don't remember a thing. How are you supposed to learn from your mistakes if you don't remember? Take notes on the questions, take notes on your answers. In between each round, reflect on your performance. What do you think you did well, and what do you think you did poorly? This should be easy because you've actually been doing this in the mock interviews before. What would you have done differently? And you implement that for the next tech job interview. You can also try to get feedback. Let's say it's a rejection from the recruiter. Ask them what areas you can improve on. Most probably they won't give you any feedback because there is a risk that you can sue the company. But some recruiters are pretty nice and they'll just take the risk of giving you feedback. It's only a matter of time until you succeed and finally get that offer. And since so many companies use the same coding interview process, chances are you will find yourself getting multiple offers in one of the hiring seasons. But don't celebrate for too long because chances are this company is not going to be the last one you interview for. You may not enjoy it, the work might be boring, the team might be boring. Who knows? Maybe your offer was low and you want to move somewhere else later on for more money. As you interview for higher levels, these 3 phases over here will have system design and object-oriented design and behavioral/leadership questions stacked on top of them. And so it's still roughly the same process of learning, interviewing, making mistakes, and just iterating back and forth. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and follow for more sweet interview tips.